Hello, everyone. My name's Jen. I'm from the Philadelphia Department of Public Health, and we're helping to implement the One Philly SNAP support plan. I think I will go ahead and get started. We still have folks entering the meeting. Just a note again for those just joining, we are recording this session, and we will be sharing that out with attendees as well as online. It'll be via YouTube. For anyone who was unable to join. So we are recording this. If anyone is using or has automatic like AI bots, if you could disable them, we actually don't use them with the city. So please disable those if you have them. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate you all being here, especially on such last minute notice. This came together very quickly. We appreciate your interest and taking the time to respond to this opportunity and, learn more about this and come with your questions. Everyone again is currently muted to reduce background noise. I will give a brief introduction to the program and the application, and then we will mainly have time for questions. We expect a lot of questions, so we'll open it up for Q&A and can share that out after the fact as well. So please put any questions you have in the Q&A box, not in the chat box. We'll be looking at the Q&A box. And if you do want to come off mute when it is, or ask a question verbally, we will need to unmute you in order to ask your question. The chat box is, or the Q&A box is should be at the bottom of the screen. If you're on a computer and it's Q&A, there's like a little message symbols next to participants, share your screen. If you're on a phone, it may be at the top instead. So let's get started. First, I would just like to say, while it's not a great reason that we are all coming together today, it is heartening to see that so many organizations and people are doing this critical work to feed our neighbors. We wish it wasn't such a dire need right now, but greatly appreciate the city, Mayor Parker's administration, and City Council for allocating this funding and standing up this opportunity so quickly. And we thank our city staff, various departments who are helping to implement this program and get it out to you all and get funds out to you all as quick as possible. I would like to note that this is a grant opportunity for organizations, nonprofits, individuals that are distributing food. It is not for individuals or families that are looking for individual benefits or dollars. Unfortunately, we obviously, hope that this grant opportunity will help support you in this time as well, but it's not actually funds being distributed to individuals for your own needs. So just wanted to mention that. We've been getting a lot of questions about that. So first I will just go over sort of basic overview of why we're doing this opportunity and then go to the grant application and some of the specifics. So we put this out obviously in response, which I'm sure everyone knows about, the response to the lapse in SNAP stamp benefits that has just happened and the federal government shut down. The city of Philadelphia established this One Philly support program to help support Philly residents in this time. The program provides access to food, emergency rental assistance, emergency revenue replacement, and a temporary payment deferral program. We are only talking about the food access program opportunity here during this session, as that's what we're implementing and what the grant opportunity is live for now. So we at the health department are working with our partner reinvestment fund to distribute $2 million to organizations and individuals that are distributing healthy, high quality, culturally appropriate and appealing free food to Philadelphians who are now experiencing food insecurity due to the lapse in SNAP benefits and the federal government shutdown. We estimate that there are close to 500,000 residents who face a disruption because they will not be receiving their SNAP benefits. And then that's obviously in addition to folks who were already navigating this increasingly difficult time. We know that there have been some federal lawsuits, several states, Pennsylvania being one of them, who have pushed back on this against the Trump administration, and they have heard that there could potentially be SNAP benefits being distributed possibly for November, but it would only be up to 50% of what those benefits would have normally been, and no confirmation of what would be applied in December. So obviously we see that this is an important need and why we want to get funding out to help support folks who will not be receiving SNAP benefits or who may be federal workers and aren't getting paid at this time. With that, I'll go over some specifics about the application itself. So the proposed award amount, the minimum you can apply for is $5,000 to up to $50,000, which is obviously subject to the availability of our funds and approval by the city. The deadline, we released this application just yesterday. Again, it's a very quick turnaround time. We realize that, but we're trying to get this program out and up and running and funding out to folks to address this immediate need. So applications will be due on Wednesday, tomorrow, the 5th at 5 p.m. Any applications submitted after that time may be considered on a rolling basis, depending on the availability of funds, but it does not guarantee that your application would be considered. So keep that 5 p.m. deadline in mind. The application must be completed in its entirety, and all supporting documentation must be provided in order to be considered for this award, which we'll talk about what that supporting documentation will be in a minute. Award recipients must provide weekly reporting to the City of Philadelphia, our Department of Public Health, and that could be on dollars spent, people served, and amount and types of food purchased and distributed by location. So we will be tracking the impact of the funding. Something I want to make sure we mention is that we want these funds, again, to be deployed as fast as possible and as efficiently as possible. So this opportunity is really geared towards organizations or nonprofits or people who have programs already up and running, and you're ready to go. You're already, kind of doing the work, currently providing food and meals. This is not really for those that need to start a program or, stand something up. So just want to mention that again, because of the need and the urgency of this funding. We'd also like to encourage distribution of food as often as possible. So preferably you're distributing food on a more consistent basis, a couple times a week, daily. This is not necessarily for folks just wanting to do a one-time event. So keep that in mind. We would like to see the funds being spent mostly on food, since that's what we're trying to supplement here for folks. So the bulk of the funding should really be going towards buying food for distribution. And the way you can submit your application, there is an online form, which hopefully one of my health department partners can put the link in the chat, as well as the link to our webpage. So we have a webpage on our phila.gov site that has all this information, links to the application, links to the online form, where you can, go directly. Thank you, Laura. So there's an online form. It's a survey that you can just complete directly online and submit. There's a hard copy application that you can fill out by hand or, on your computer and email it. You can scan it and email it. If you would like to do an email, the email address is onephillysnapsupport@phila.gov. So one Philly Snap Support, all one word, at phila.gov, which Laura also put in the chat. If you don't have access to computer, internet, email, you can also drop a physical application off at the Health Department building at 7801 Essington Avenue. And you can coordinate that delivery with Aurora Trainer. We can put her email contact info in the chat as well, or you can email One Philly Snap Support as well. So we have lots of different ways you can get your application to us. It's a pretty simple application. I think you will never see a more simplified application for funding from the city. So we tried to make it very easy, quick. You could probably complete the application 15-20 minutes. It shouldn't take a lot of time. We're not asking for a ton of information, but you should be, specific with what your program is, who you're providing meals to. So do provide a little more detail for some of those questions. But again, we are trying to get this funding out fast and get it used as soon as possible. So funds should be spent pretty quickly. We don't really want funds to be held on to. It's again to address this sort of immediate need that we're seeing. The application is also available in Spanish, which we can drop in the chat. If you have other language requests, I believe you can also reach out to One Philly Snap Support at email as well. Once applicants are we will try our best once we receive responses to make the selection. We have all hands on deck staff. We have review teams that will be reviewing applications, and we're hoping to get responses out within 3 days of when we receive them on Wednesday. So again, quick turnaround time. And once you're selected, Reinvestment Fund will actually be distributing the funds to the awardees. So the funding will be coming from Reinvestment Fund, and there will be certain documentation forms you will need to complete with them, and we can share more about what that will look like. I think those are the main. I think the application itself is pretty, the questions are, pretty easy. But if anyone has questions about the specific questions on the application, you can let us know that as well. But I think those are that's the main kind of overview of what I wanted to share. I just want to ask any of my other city staff that are here if there's anything they think I missed before we open it for questions. I mean, if you're saying anything, I can't see.
Great job, Jen. There are a ton of questions in the Q&A.
Okay, so we'll go straight to Q&A. 43 questions. All right. Let's see. I represent Shalom, BC, and we would like to know how frequently the funds will be dispersed. For example, if we request 5K, is that weekly or monthly? We will be distributing the funds in a lump sum, so you'll be getting it all at once. We won't be distributing it in multiple timeframes. It will be dispersed via direct deposit. You'll have to fill out a form with Reinvestment Fund and a W-9 form in order to get that payment. And I will just maybe kick it over to Sarah Vernon Sturman, who is from Reinvestment Fund, to add anything else to that.
Sure. You will get a call from the city saying you have been preliminarily awarded X amount of dollars, and you, or maybe it will come as an email. And you will have you will be sent a blank W-9 if you need it, and an ACH form, which is your how we do the direct deposit. And then we also need to request some your social security number so we can verify that in the OFAC system. Once that is all cleared, we will send you via email the grant agreement. You will sign that via DocuSign, and then the money will be sent to you in a single lump sum.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. What type of food distribution is the department looking for? Is it non-perishable, hot food, cold food? It's any of those. And we're not necessarily prioritizing. It's, you know, what you feel your residents or neighborhood or whoever you're serving needs. We ask about if you're providing groceries, fresh fruits or vegetables, or hot or cold prepared food. Is the department looking for more of a larger reach or deeper impact? We have centers across the city. Is there a particular neighborhood you are looking to focus on? We are prioritizing high poverty, low income neighborhoods, those with higher food insecurity. But again, we're not necessarily limiting folks who apply. We're not you know, saying only certain zip codes can apply. We're just trying again to get food out to folks who need it the most. So I would say still apply regardless. What is the term for this funding? I think that means how long do you have to spend it? We're asking that folks spend as, you know, quickly as possible. Not necessarily to hold on to it. I know we don't necessarily know how long the shutdown will last and how long benefits will last, but hoping that, you know, funds can be spent relatively quickly. How do residents apply? This application is only for organizations. This application is open to organizations or individuals, so you can apply as a community member or resident as well, as long as you know, have the system and in place and are currently distributing food and meals is really the preference. Certain amount of time funds need to be spent in. I think I answered that. Is the goal of the fund to reach new people and or those we have been helping? I mean, I think the goal is to reach whoever in your community seems like they have been impacted by these issues that are happening. So, you know, I don't necessarily think that we're specifying that, but just if you're seeing more need in your community, that you're supporting those people. I don't know if Mika, Laura, you have a different answer to that.
I'm sorry, I was answering questions in the
Oh.
Q&A. I missed it.
Is the goal of the fund to reach new people and or those we have been helping?
It's both.
Yeah.
We know the need is huge on both fronts.
Thank you. Is this something that could be done as a school staff project to help support our families? Again, I think if it's something you're already doing, your school has a pantry, you distribute produce already. You know, again, I wouldn't say you necessarily can't apply. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. My team, you know, health department team, but I think we're trying to prioritize projects that are already up and running. Can the funding be used to get food vouchers to local grocery stores with culturally appropriate food? Again, we're prioritizing food distribution, so getting food to people as fast as possible. So vouchers are a little bit of a different model. I wouldn't say you can't apply, you know, you could still apply with your ideas and specifics for how you will be getting those vouchers out, how the grocery stores will be using them. You know, the model that looks like. My program offers food support via digital gift cards so that people can get food quickly. Yes, the application seems to be geared towards more physical food distribution programs. Yes. Again, same answer. Technically gearing it more towards physical food distribution, but we have, you know, considerable amount of funding. If you'd still like to apply either way, you know, we recommend you doing that. We're not necessarily disqualifying those types of programs. I see the metrics we'll be tracking. Should we be fortunate to participate, will we also submit documentation of use of funds? I think this means like submitting invoices and things like that. I would save your invoices and documentation for food purchases. Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think you necessarily need to submit those, but in case we're audited, you should have documentation of that.
And we will be asking for some of that information in the weekly reporting.
Yeah, there's no reporting to reinvestment fund. The reporting that you do will be to the health department. So whatever the city is requesting is what will be in the reporting.
Yeah, and again, I don't think it's necessarily like receipts and invoices, but you should be keeping those things on file, just in case. I think this next one was just a edit to a previous question. Would block captains who oversee community gardens be able to apply for the grant? Yes, if you're distributing food via those community gardens, and again, they're up and running and you have produce that you're growing and distributing. Although I guess the fund should technically be being used to buy food to distribute, so we might need to ask a couple questions about that application, but I would still say you can apply. My organization provides free home delivered medically tailored meals and nutrition support. However, clients need to be referred. Could you clarify whether organizations like ours would be eligible to apply for this grant? I might bring in my other Mika or Kinnery, if you can help me answer this one, if it's home delivered, medically tailored meals and nutrition support. Would we still say that one can apply?
Yes, and we will be looking at, will you be able to expand your reach or serve more people or do more to meet this moment than you would otherwise be doing?
Thank you. We have multiple sites across the city. Can we pick one location or multiple? I mean, if you serve multiple locations, you can put that in the application. It doesn't just have to be one site that you're distributing funds to. How does the rent relief work? Please feel free to skip this question. Yes, I cannot answer that question right now, but we can make a note of that, Marlene, and try to, or I think we can put links to that information in the chat. Can funds be used to support transportation of food or employee wages? Again, the bulk of the funding should be going directly to the food distribution, to buying the food. Ika, do you want to help me on this one? I mean, I think maybe some of it can go to that, but the bulk should really be to buying food.
Yes, it really is for additional food and not general operating costs.
We are a small high school. If we apply, can we just purchase food for our students and their households? We don't have a lot of space to be able to distribute. I mean, if you're doing food distribution in your school already, you have a food pantry. I would say, yes, you can apply. Again, it's more prioritizing those that are already up and running, that have systems in place, but that could still be eligible. Does food distribution include grocery gift cards or direct to retailer purchases? Again, I feel like I'm going to get a lot of the same questions. We
And
prefer
Jen,
to,
maybe if you've answered it already, we can
yeah,
keep
okay.
moving. Just
If we're a childcare school, can we apply? Yes. Is there a directory for farm to table type of sellers, such as a farmers association? We work with farmers markets. So we have like our farmers market finder app, phila.gov/farmers-markets is a list of farmers markets. It's not necessarily all vendors. We don't have a local like farmers association, but we can connect with you and link you to resources. There's Penn State Nutrition Extension that works with farmers and vendors. The Food Trust works with farmers and vendors. So there's a lot of organizations in the city. We don't necessarily have that ready here for now. Do we ask parents to sign a form? Not, does that mean in order to accept food, they have to sign a form? I don't know. We're not asking for any kind of ID or documentation as part of this. Do we buy the groceries for the parents? Yes, you're buying food to be distributed. Do grant guidelines and allow for an administrative fee? Again, no, or preferring just funding for food. Funding spent by, I answered. Where do you submit documentation for your organization? So this is where it comes in with, once you're selected preliminarily, you'll have some documentation requirements you'll need to submit to reinvestment fund. So a W-9 form and a direct deposit form. So that's when you'll be requested to submit those documents. Answer gift cards. Sorry, my Q&A keeps scrolling up. Can grant fund, when do we get the funds? Good question. So we're hoping to get them out as soon as possible. We'll be reviewing again, once we receive applications. Towards the end of the week, we're hoping to get funds out, as soon as possible. It also depends on when the awardee provides the necessary documentation to reinvestment funds. So there are some key things you'll need to do and provide before you can get those funds dispersed to you. So it is kind of dependent on that, but hopefully as soon as next week, if possible, as assuming you get all your paperwork in. Time frame for funds to be spent, I answered. I don't think funds need to necessarily be spent totally in November, but within, the next month or two, at least. Answered that. Food vouchers. Will there be a contract that will need to be conformed between reinvestment fund and a sub-awardees? There will be a grant agreement. Sarah, do you want to answer that one?
Sure, you will receive the grant agreement through DocuSign and you will sign it in DocuSign and it comes back to us. That is the final step of the documentation process. So once we have that signed agreement from you, then the money comes in a single chunk through the ACH.
Thank you. I talked supporting documentation. How do we go about the selection process? So we have a rubric we'll be using to score applications. We have 4 review teams that will be reviewing applications. And then we'll be making selections based on a variety of factors. Um, sorry, I'm just looking for my
I think
but yes,
it is,
yes,
there's a
thank
lot that
Sorry.
we have figured out on that, and it is there is lots of data that is being looked at. I think the quick answer is we are trying to use the funds most equitably, and effectively to get the most food into the most bellies right now in this moment of crisis.
Thank you. Someone submitted an application via email, but the organization would like to retract that application and submit via portal. Is that possible? Aurora, I don't know, do you have a preference? Mika,
Yeah, it's not possible to retract. You can resubmit, and there are many city staff people who have dropped everything they're doing to be going through these applications. And one of the things one person is doing is cross-referencing duplicates, and going with whichever is more complete. So if the new one is going to be more complete and we can tell that, go ahead and resubmit.
thank you. Some of these look like we've already answered them, preferably not using funding to pay staff. Gift cards, spend timeline. The application has already been submitted. Can we make a correction before the deadline? I mean, they've already been submitted. I don't think that's possible at this point. There's no preference on hot meals or groceries. Would organizations be able to use funds to start a more food collection distribution, or is this opportunity to, again, programs that are existing rather than newly starting? Are schools eligible? Again, there's broad eligibility. So if you're already doing food distribution efforts in your school, it's fine to apply. If you already have an on-site pantry, funds cannot be used for other items. Again, preferably only food. I mean, mostly food. There are no documents that need to be submitted with the actual application. The documentation request is if you are selected, once you are selected. Lots of questions about timeline. Mika, is there anything you want to add additional? We're sort of saying as soon as possible, next 1 to 2 months. Do you have any other thoughts on the timeline of spending funds?
No, I think that captures it. The purpose of this funding right now is to meet what we hope is going to be a temporary interruption in SNAP benefits. So that is why the focus on November and December.
Thank you. Social Security number or EIN number for nonprofits. I don't think that might be asked as part of the awardee process, Sarah.
Yeah, that's part of the OFAC check, and for a nonprofit, it would be the EIN. Well, it would be for the organization and for whoever is signing the grant agreement.
Great. Mika, can you help me with this next one? Can we apply for this for some programs while simultaneously using the additional discretionary funds being offered through the DHS contracts for participants in those programs?
We are looking at, because there is such a great need, we know everyone needs more right now, but we are looking at if there are entities that are already being supported through the city in some way, or even are already part of the city, rec centers, libraries, community schools, DHS programs, and those will be deprioritized, given the extent of the need.
Is this specific funding source grant affected or delayed by the current PA state budget impasse? This is city funding, so it's not affected by the state budget issue. So no, it's been allocated and it will be distributed. Health center question, we don't do food distribution, but usually a patient. Sorry.
Could I just say two overarching things? Because I'm also seeing a lot of questions popping up in the chat, even though I'm not supposed to be looking at the chat right now about gift cards. So just two overarching things. I mean, first of all, thank you all for the work that you do. And thank you, for those of you who have been distributing food and providing meals and other social services for years. Thank you to all of you who are stepping up in this moment to try to do so. We are prioritizing what will be most effective in a short term, which we have decided are existing efforts. So we will be looking for a track record of doing this. We will not be trying to fund new startups during this moment. We wish that we had enough resources to do so, but that is what we have decided makes most sense to prioritize right now. I think, to the gift card question, we absolutely support people having the utmost choice in what they decide to eat, and gift cards as a strategy to meet food insecurity. I think some of the things that we will be looking at is, do you already have a program that is addressing food insecurity by getting people gift cards, and you already have everything in place that is needed to do that and to track that? If so, I think that might be a strong proposal. I think because it would get people food directly. But I think that question of if it's already happening is really key.
Thank you. Question about how long will the weekly reporting be required? As long as it takes you to distribute the funds, I assume. So, if you get your funds out, distributed quickly, if, it's 2 months' time, I think we're asking for reporting as long as it takes you to distribute those funds. The application asked if we were in partnership with Philabundance or Share. Will organizations still be considered if they are not currently partnered with these companies? Yes. I mean, we were just asking that to sort of know, because we know Philabundance and Share serve a lot of community organizations and are providing food to hundreds of partners throughout the city. So you will not be excluded if you do get food from them already, but you would definitely still be considered. In the reporting, will we be asked for documentation of individual SNAP eligibility? No, we're not asking anything about SNAP eligibility details or anything like that. Will there be a data document and/or link provided to report as our events take place, or is it self-reporting? We will be providing a form that you can use for your reporting purposes. So it'll be something that you can, complete, weekly as your distributions take place. What are some things that will stand out on the application? I think, geographically where you're serving, maybe the number of meals served. I don't think, we're kind of opening up this wide, casting a wide net. I think we're not being overly, I'm trying to think of the words, but obviously answering all the questions appropriately, giving good details, explaining your program, how you're doing your distribution, how you get healthy, high quality, appealing, culturally appropriate food out. I think those are things that would stand out. Can you use this funding to purchase food for WIC? I mean, I'm not sure what that question means exactly. I mean, again, if it's like a food distribution effort, like you work in a WIC office and you do food distribution as well, I think that would be fine. Does being registered on the Philadelphia Food and Meal Finder mean that the distribution needs to be open to the public? Laura, do you want to answer that one?
Sure. Uh, we are not going to make it a requirement of people who receive the grant to be listed on the city's free food and meals finder. But if you do provide a distribution that is open to the public, we would love to list you. We can also do some caveats on the finders if you're serving specific populations, like if it's for seniors only, we can list some of those things, but it is not a requirement to receive the funds.
Skipping some that I think I answered already. Can we use the grant to cook meals for community fridges? Funds can be used for preparing meals, so that's fine. Can a church and another organization combine using the same location? I think that's fine if you want to collaborate on applications and your projects. And I think that's fine. If we request a particular amount and it is denied, will you come with a counter offer? So we only have $2 million of funding and we have many people interested, lots of needs. So I guess that this question kind of means you may apply for a certain amount, but we may have to, you know, limit the funding depending on how much fund, you know, how we distribute those funds. So I guess if that's a counter offer, you know, once you are selected, you may not get the full amount that you request. I think some of these I answered. Can we have
Jen, we have one hand up. Would
Mhm.
it be all right with you if I,
Oh, yeah.
all right, so I'm asking you to unmute yourself, Miss DeShields.
Hi, I'm driving. I'm sorry, I had a doctor's appointment, but I am the outreach person for Concord Baptist Church. And I just wanted to make sure that churches qualify and if there are any restrictions on things that we can do or can't do.
Yes, churches can qualify. You can apply if you're currently doing food distribution, again, preferably existing programs that are already doing distributions. That's fine to apply. Do you want to go with the other hands, Mika?
Yes. I think Dr. Hunter, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you. Is it first come, first serve?
I'm not sure I understand the.
In other words, are you taking the applications and if you get 245 application and it goes over the amount, should we want to get our application in within an hour or so? So do you stop when at some point? Or does one who correctly applies for funding get some kind of funding? Or is it until you run out?
We will review all applications we receive as of 5 p.m. tomorrow. So it is not like we only will review up to a certain number. And we will try to, you know, make the selections, make sure you meet eligibility requirements, and then distribute funding according to that. But it's not first come,
I
first
said in the
served.
chat, I serve Philadelphia residents. My pantry is outside of Philadelphia. May I apply? They're saying that the opportunity is only for distributions, meals, provisions in the city of Philadelphia.
Right.
Because I think they're not going to let us.
Isn't there a phone number or something on something?
That's still, is that a question for us or?
Yes, I think so. Is this possible, is it possible to use the grant funds outside Philadelphia? No, this is for food distribution inside for Philadelphia for Philadelphia residents. Will Childs, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon. First, thank you guys for doing this initiative. I think it's completely awesome. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
So I am located in the 22nd Police District, working for Akua. We do partner with someone else to do like fresh produce every other week, but we happen to have a shortage in our area. So I overheard you guys saying that you guys would be looking at areas that are groups that already have this together, but also that are underpopulated. How would we be able to confirm that? Because I definitely want to advocate for our specific area, particularly because a lot of things happen north of us, all across Broad Street, or closer to Kensington versus where we are within the Strawberry Mansion district. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I understood what that process was going to look like, as we've already submitted. And so just hoping that we get honestly a fair chance to be able to support the folks on this side.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And Jen, I'll take that one since we talked about it in a meeting that you weren't at earlier today. We actually have one of the geospatial analysts on our team mapping all of the proposals as they come in, and so that we can look at it in each one in light of the poverty rates, the food insecurity rates, and other data that the city already has. So you all don't need to provide that information to us. We're looking at it based on where you are serving. Thank you so much. Let's go to Kimberly Beatty, and I apologize for anyone whose name I mispronounce. You should be able to unmute yourself, Kimberly Beatty.
Yes, you're fine. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Thank you so much for this partnership as well. My question is kind of like, I'm like really deep into our mission and service in our community, but I did apply on behalf of my church as well as my nonprofit. However, we wanted to do a dual combination kind of like versus just one. And I also currently have a Philabundance and ShareBox in the South Philadelphia area that I do through my senior program. So I didn't want to be a conflict, but I wanted to get some type of, I guess, some understanding of how to go about doing a combination between my organization and a church, because we would like to do like on-site cooking, deliverance to seniors, and food pantry.
So I'm sorry, did you already apply with that in mind? Did you say? Oh, is she still there? Oh no. Oh, Kimberly. I think I'm just trying to understand if you applied collaboratively together, is that the question?
I may have, I apologize. I think I may have muted her. I think I may have understood the question. And one thing I do want to restate is we will be, again, just because of the extent of the need in this moment, we will be prioritizing efforts that are up and running over things that would need to get started to be able to use the funding. But if you are applying for two separate efforts, you could put in two separate applications, or if you are trying to combine them, it is fine to put in one application for both of them. And please feel free to follow up with us directly via the email if we misunderstood your question. I'm going to go to Amanda Garayua. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes, hello. We had a colleague submit an application via email today in error, and we would like to retract it and submit via portal. Is that possible, or whatever was submitted was submitted?
Please resubmit, and in the first and note that in the application, and we will be doing cross-referencing and eliminating duplicates, and we'll look for the one that says it's the resubmission.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Cheyenne Livingston. You should be able to unmute yourself.
All right. Hello. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for hosting this Zoom. I just wanted to quickly ask, I serve 3 separate communities within Philadelphia, the Northeast, West Philadelphia, and East Falls. So I would be wondering, would I be able to have distribution sites at all 3, or do I have to stick to just one distribution center
No, you
if I
can,
were to select it?
yeah,
Sorry.
you can put them all in your application and specify where you're serving.
Okay. Alrighty. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Let's go to Rachel Honor. Honor.
Yes, Honore, you got it.
Honor.
Rachel Honore, Literacy and More. And thanks again, like everyone in Soup, for doing this. My question is, I apologize if you had answered this already, but for my clarification, just wanted to make sure that the different zip codes that are prioritized, if we're in an area that doesn't state, that's not necessarily a zip code that you prioritize, but folks are coming to see us from Kensington or Southwest. Is there some way to indicate that, or is there, I guess, some way to do that so you know that those areas are being touched, are being served?
I would say note that in your application, like if you're having maybe people come to you versus you being in a certain zip code, note that in your application, the, people that you're reaching.
Next, Clara Verratti True. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Thank you. I am representing the Karen Community Association of Philadelphia. They're a group in South Philadelphia that eat very kind of culturally specific foods, and so it's hard for them to find in a grocery store. Is a group of around 300 individuals enough to qualify for something like this, or are you looking for a broader audience?
I think that's a sufficient group. We don't have limits, minimums, maximums on the number of people that you're serving, so that sounds like fine to me. Mika?
Cheyenne Alexander. You should be able to
Yes.
unmute.
Hi, thank you all for your efforts and your and serving our community. I just wanted to ask, how will organizations get a chance to, I guess, prove that they are in current distribution, serving their area for food insecurity? Because the application, as we know, is so short, but it doesn't give us a chance to give that background of our organization and what we're currently doing. So how are you guys going to wean out the differences of who's maybe starting up and who's already in distribution and need that funding?
Well, we do have that question, how many people do you serve on average per distribution, which,
Yes.
should theoretically catch people doing the work currently. And then the second question is how many additional people would you serve? So, I think we're hoping to get that understanding there, but I think you can provide more detail in your application. Like we've been implementing this program for X years, and you can provide a couple sentences. Again, that next question, what steps do you take to provide healthy, high quality, appealing, and culturally
Yeah,
appropriate
we did
food?
that.
So you can give more context and detail there to
Okay.
what your program is and how long it's been operating.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I'm unmuting Pierre Connor.
Hello, thank you. And I'm very thankful for what you guys are doing for the city right now. I'm representing the United Muslim Masjid Youth Council, and I wanted to ask, when looking at an area's priority, are we looking at the income in the area or the food desert / food insecurity status of the area? Like which one weighs higher?
We are looking at both of those, and we're looking at other data we have too. There isn't a simple ranking of it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Vanessa Ewing, you should be able to unmute.
Hi, thank you. Thank you guys so much for providing this opportunity. I was wondering, so I work at a health center. We do food distribution for our patients, and we screen our patients for food insecurity. And the way that we do food distribution, it's not like on a specific day and time schedule. It's like the patient will indicate that need during their session or their appointment, and then we'll have food available for them, whether it's in the patient fridge or in the form of like a food box. So it's for the question that asks like, what days and times do you do this? I just wanted to clarify, because it's available when our clinic is available, like for the patients that come in, but it's not at like a specific day and time every day. It's just like kind of an all day when the patient says, yeah.
Yeah, I would just specify that in the answer, so maybe you can't fill out the day, week, time, but how often will you serve food? You could specify, I think, that in that question, like it's, you know, open 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay, thank you.
It's 2 more hands up. Hopefully we can get to both of them. Shakina Rush, you should be able to unmute. Gone. All right. Carlton Aiken.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. We've been supporting our community in West Oak Lane for the past 14 years. We receive, I wanted to be clear with receiving other benefits from Philabundance and different other food sources. Did you say that that's not going to limit the amount that we can receive based off of the distribution of this particular program? And then secondly, as far as our area, we've supported multiple areas, not just West Oak Lane, as far as it reaches North Philadelphia, Germantown section, West Oak Lane, and East Oak Lane. So we're providing all of those zip codes because we have people that ascend to our location, as well as what we do as far as delivery. So I just wanted to make sure, as we put that in there, all of those considerations, to make sure that those zip codes are being considered if we're adding that to the application.
Yeah, so for the first question, yes, if just because you're receiving food from Philabundance or Share, you won't be excluded. You'll still be considered in the application process. It doesn't affect your status. And then
And it doesn't affect the amount. That's why I wanted to make sure.
I don't think so, Mika. Do you have?
It doesn't affect the amount.
Yeah. Okay.
You said it does not. I'm sorry.
It does not. It does not affect. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's one last hand. Jen, I'll take whatever question this is if you want to think about how we're gonna wrap up after this. So Ayana S, you should be able to unmute.
Hi, yes, my name is Ayana Swanson. So I own a small business. We're like a wellness business that usually partners with different homeless shelters and things like that for like food drives, clothes drives, and things like that. But I am not like a nonprofit organization. Am I still able to apply to partner with the organizations or the shelters that we usually partner with, or like is that not an option? Would they have to directly apply for themselves? Because I don't know, if they are, this is like something new and quick. So I'm not sure if they are aware of this. I have like a personal contact that I'm waiting, on to return my phone call today to see, what process they're in or if they even know about this. But is that still an option for me or what? Because I know that we have to like list a distribution center or address, and I can list that, all of the necessary information, but I want to make sure I'm able to do so before I submit the application.
So any entity that is has an existing food distribution or meal provision effort is eligible to apply, whether that's a nonprofit, business, an individual. I think the important thing is just to lay that out. If it is mainly your partner organization running it, it could make more sense for them to apply and administer this. But you're not ineligible. I will also just mention that as another part of the One Philly SNAP support plan, there is some support for small businesses, particularly small food businesses that are affected by the SNAP interruption. And so that we'll make sure to put that link in the chat. Thank you all so much. I'm sorry we have to cut this short. But Jen, back over to you.
Yeah, so there were some questions I think we didn't get to in the Q&A. So how do we want to? I think we can answer additional questions and maybe post them online, or send them out to we have the emails from those who registered, so we can follow up with like a Q&A document with questions that we didn't answer. If that's helpful. Thank you all for attending. Sorry we can't get to all of your questions. Appreciate all of your questions. And again, like Mika said, the work that you're doing to support residents, neighbors, families in this unfortunate time in the city right now and across the country. We'll do our best effort to get, this out fast and help support you all. And we do have another info session tomorrow morning, 8:30 to 9:30. So if you know folks who weren't able to join today or you want to join again, you can always join tomorrow as well. Again, applications are due by 5 p.m. tomorrow. And then the recording will be shared via YouTube as well. Anything else, Mika?
No, just thank you all again so much. Have a good night.
Thank you, everyone.